long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Hi, I'm Todd Hoffman, and this is WSTR Galactic Public Access, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to our very first podcast. We are going to talk about things Star Wars and anything else we want to throw in there. I have with me a motley crew of scum and villainy. Aaron Julian.
Hello, hello, hello.
Armand Haddad.
Hey, hey, hey.
Rutch Johnson.
Yep, I'm here.
All right, cool. We are Star Wars superfans, and we all met at Harvest Naperville Church volunteering for the production crew. We became fast friends, and, well, we like talking about Star Wars. So most of the weekends we serve, it turns into Star Wars topics. So we had a light bulb moment, and we were like, hey, we should do a podcast.
Yeah.
So here we are. We would like for our audience to get to know us a little bit better. So before we jump into anything related to Star Wars, I thought it'd be a good idea if we just go around the room and talk about why Star Wars? Why do we love Star Wars? So I'm going to start with Aaron. Aaron, why do you like Star Wars so much?
All right. Well, I first saw Star Wars when I was about 8 or 9 years old. My dad had a couple of copies of... He had VHS copies of the original trilogy, and he didn't really tell me what they were or what they were all about. I kind of just self-discovered it, but I asked him hey, what are these what are these Star Wars movies? And he's like, oh, that's it's a science fiction story. You'd probably like it. I had to ask him what order to watch them in, and I don't know if he knew if he had to look it up or anything, but I started watching with A New Hope and was just blown away because it was so unlike any movie that I had ever seen before. I couldn't tell you what other movies I had seen at that age because none of them stuck out. But
how old were you at this time?
8 or 9 years old.
And what was the year?
This must have been 2002, 2003.
Goodness. Oh, man.
You're a little kid.
Yeah, 8 or 9.
I was a youngin'.
So Attack of the Clones came out in 2002.
Yeah, just about
all
that.
Right,
but I had no consciousness about this at all. So I just started watching the VHS ones, and I was blown away by A New Hope. Thought it was just the coolest thing ever, and I was so much more happy that there were 2 other movies to watch. So
you didn't have to wait.
I didn't have to wait. I popped in Empire Strikes Back. I thought
best movie ever.
Yes. I thought the Hoth sequence just blew my mind again because it was just shot like a war movie, and A New Hope was more or less an adventure tale, but Empire Strikes Back, of course, is when it got serious, and I wanted to keep going, and then I figured out that Darth Vader was Luke's dad, and
What?
What?
Oh, spoilers! Come on.
Oh man!
I'm sorry. I thought you were ready, but clearly I
If you're listening to this, that's not a spoiler.
Clearly I've mistaken you. Then moved on to Return of the Jedi, and that's just when things got dialed up to 11. Yeah, I still remember the final space battle and just how many different ships are there. I remember pausing and freeze framing it and just going through frame by frame.
There is a ton of TIE interceptors in that last battle scene.
So many ships, and all of that just kind of stoked this imagination in me. And I was super into books at that time. I still am. And I went to the school library, and they had this visual encyclopedia of Star Wars.
Sweet.
So what I did was basically just go through it all, and then every ship or character or whatever, I would try to find where it showed up in each of the movies and try to freeze frame it and everything. And it just really lit my imagination on fire. And then I heard that there were some theatrical movies that were coming out at this point, the prequels, and I don't know when I saw the first 2.
Did you go to the theater or no?
I did go to the theater for the third one. So this is about
Well, actually, it's the 6th one, but
yeah. Numerologically.
Yeah.
But I did see that in theaters. I was in middle school at that time, and so I had some pocket money and some free time to do that. But about like 04 or 05, I somehow tracked down the prequels and saw those, and I was a dumb little kid, so I thought those were the greatest things ever, because, hey, more Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Jar Jar.
Yeah, and I was
Jar Jar
unfamiliar.
saved his life.
Oh, you know it. And I was unfamiliar with, I guess, CGI as far as what is good CGI versus bad CGI. And to my mind, like, the fact that they like made like these entire worlds and filled them with like digital creatures and everything like that. One of the reasons I think got into studying filmmaking, and because I wanted to know how they were able to pull all these special effects off, and that's partially what got me into watching movies as a widespread interest. Was just learning how the Star Wars movies were made, and then I figured out that there's these other like really cool sci-fi and more standard genre movies that I could get into, and so on and so forth. And here I am still geeking about Star Wars later. And
so Aaron, if you can real quick summarize, just like how how did it feel when you first watched Star Wars? Like, what was the main thing that like caught your eye? And just summarize that real quick.
I would say what really drew me into it was that sense of adventure with A New Hope.
The hero story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of what's now known as the hero's journey, and A New Hope is basically that distilled down.
You're talking about Joseph Campbell?
Yes, yeah. Hero of a Thousand Faces. I only studied that later, but at the time, it was just a very powerful distillation of all of that.
Yeah.
And so I was just drawn into the fact that this nobody, snot-nosed kid like has this kind of capability and power within him that he never knew about. And then he gets swept up into this galactic spanning journey where, there's all this swashbuckling action and, fighting the bad guys and saving the princess and everything. It's kind of like what I imagine every young boy like fantasizes about.
Yeah.
And I'm sure young girls do too. And wanting to get caught up in that adventure, and I think that's part of what's so universal about Star Wars, and how simply most everybody can relate to it. And I think that's also its staying power and why it's been so popular for so long.
Okay, cool. Very good.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's fantastic.
That's a nice story.
I like that. Thanks, man.
No problem.
Armand,
Yep.
why do you like the Star Wars?
Well, Aaron put it very eloquently. You see, because he got into Star Wars when he was later in life.
8 years old.
8 years
later.
Well, compared to me,
yeah,
because my father also showed me Star Wars, but I was 2.
Nice.
So I don't remember my first impressions. My first impressions of the film were already, I watched it like 20 times already.
Oh, right.
Huh.
But the scene that stuck out for me is Episode 4.
Yeah.
Before Luke goes off to, join the rebellion.
Yeah.
He's looking up into the sunset.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yeah. The twin sunset.
Yeah,
binary
twin.
sunset.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a very iconic shot.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the music.
And
John Williams' score on that is just, it gets you in the feels. Cause it's that sense of, I want to get off of this dusty backworld planet.
It's a turning point.
Yeah, it's a turning point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to see those kind of shots in Rogue One, and very excited for that movie to come around.
We'll probably talk about that in a little bit, don't you think?
It doesn't matter.
Don't jump the gun.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So there was no inciting event for you where this was my life before Star Wars, now this is my life after.
Right.
It was just, it had already seeped in by the time you had memories.
I even asked my father, I was like, how come you showed me Star Wars? Because I became such a huge fan. I remember when Episode 1 came out. I was 8 when Episode 1 came out.
All right,
in 99. I asked him, I was like, why did you show me the Star Wars? And he was like, well, it's Star Wars. I just had to show you Star Wars. There wasn't really a reason. Everyone likes Star Wars.
Right.
And if you don't like Star Wars, shame on you.
Indeed. So what? I guess. So you saw the original trilogy first, and then the prequels later.
Yeah.
Did you recall any comparison between the prequels once you saw them at 8 years old?
Yes.
Did you compare them to the?
Yeah. What did you think when you saw Phantom Menace when you were 8?
Oh man, I don't remember watching the actual film. What I remember is what I felt right after seeing it.
Yeah.
So, growing up, I loved the original trilogy. Like, every time I watched the original trilogy, I watched them in tandem. Well, not in tandem, but all together.
Right.
And my mother took me to see Episode 1. I could just imagine myself super excited. Watched the film. It ends. Peace! Yeah! So, movie ends. So...
little Boston ass action right there, yeah. Right.
So it ends, and my mom turns to me, and she says, what did you think? And
what were your
said,
exact words? Do you remember your words?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was it. 8 years old. I didn't even like Episode 1. Yeah,
right.
Just,
you were like the one that, like...
I didn't buy it.
You didn't buy
no
it.
Could you sum it up in
stormtroopers.
one line? Why didn't it deliver?
Yeah.
Jar Jar.
There you have it, folks.
So it was for you because of prequels. You thought like it was Jar Jar that kind of messed it up for you in Episode 1.
There was a tonality difference.
Yeah.
Back then, I wouldn't. Well, I don't think I ever liked
you were
him.
8, so
Just something wasn't. I don't.
yeah, it was just off. It didn't
Darth
feel.
Vader wasn't there. There weren't any stormtroopers.
It was just a little off for you.
Jar Jar's like the birthday clown that nobody wanted.
Yeah.
It is a stark difference for the yellers, especially that young and not understanding like why are we going back this far? I guess.
Mhm.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
All right. So like fast forward after that. So why what keeps you in Star Wars now?
That's a good question.
why am I still here?
Yeah, why am I doing this podcast? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the original trilogy just
For you is the imprint.
really resonates.
Yeah.
Very well. Like everything about it.
Yeah.
Even Return of the Jedi. No, I love them all.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks. All right, Rutch, you're up.
All right. So what was the question again?
Question is, why do you like Star Wars, or what got you into Star Wars?
All right. What got me into Star Wars? Well, it was played on repeat in my house growing up from ages 4 and up. So
Yeah.
I can easily remember my parents cleaning the house, and then I'm sitting on the couch not cleaning and watching, Empire Strikes Back, and
Hey, Rutch, why don't you help out? You're like, no?
No, I can't because
Yeah,
the movie's not over yet. We're pretty close here, though. Pretty close. So what I love about Star Wars is that it brings you out of this world, and at such a young age, it got me really sucked into like just adventure and it sent me to wanting to make my own stories, and the visual effects caught my eye. Like I was just wondering, like, how are they really doing this?
Yeah.
And it really sent me into the film world, and I spent a lot of time just watching behind the scenes and just wanting to know more and more of like how films are actually made. So I mean, the stories were great, and I love the sense of adventure we get from it. But I really like what I take away from it
For you,
from
it's the visual. It's the very visual.
Yeah, the visuals that they were able to create. So, yeah.
So how old were you when the prequels came out? So
Let's see.
99 is Phantom Menace, so...
Yeah, 99. So when I was
Did you go to theaters?
I was 8. No, so I don't remember going to the theater to watch Episode 1.
Okay.
I remember loving Star Wars before that and constantly watching 4, 5, and 6. But I don't remember ever seeing 1 in theaters. The earliest memories I have of watching Episode 1, I was sitting again on the couch.
Yeah.
And my arm, or my wrist rather, was broken because I was pushing my brother on the swing, and then the branch broke. Broke my arm.
Branch.
What? A branch?
Yeah, the branch just snapped. It was like one of those tire
Oh.
horses.
Oh, you're talking about a good old tire swing.
Yeah.
So
And,
90s.
It pulled the branch down, it landed on my arm. I don't know, broke my wrist. But I spent a lot of time sitting on the couch watching Star Wars, and that's my earliest memory of Episode 1. And
So
I'm like,
you didn't go to theaters for...
no, I don't think I saw it in theaters. At least
Okay.
I can't remember.
Wow.
Okay.
But I also, Episode 1 didn't hit me as hard as did Armand.
Yeah. Jar Jar didn't hit you as hard?
I don't
basically?
remember him like standing.
Where
out.
did
I
he
remember
touch you?
He wasn't like
Me,
yeah.
touch you. Okay.
It was still Star Wars to me, and it felt good. Darth Maul was a huge hit for me, and all those. the lightsaber battles.
Yeah,
were
it's so much better than Darth and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Like, dink, dink.
Yeah, so
Geriatric.
I was drawn into that, and I liked the battle droids and like the Trade Federation armies. I just thought that was all cool to me, and I was really intrigued on like maybe like who's like the Emperor's like where does the Empire start forming? And
yeah.
Who's the Emperor? I didn't at first like see Emperor. I didn't see what was this?
Palpatine, yeah,
Palpatine.
Papa P.
Yeah, I didn't see him at first. I remember my dad pointing out like,
That's him.
I know his identity, son, and I'm like, really? Who? Tell me.
Oh, man.
Spoiler!
Yeah, and so I don't know. He saw something I didn't, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still like. The prequels are okay. They're as I'm growing up, I hate Jar Jar now.
Yeah.
Right.
He's pretty bad.
You're jaded on Jar Jar.
Yeah, 2 and 3 aren't as exciting. I almost never watch them. However, in Episode 2, I still love the Jango Fett and Obi-Wan fight scenes.
In the rain?
Oh,
in the
Camino?
rain.
No,
Yeah.
the better part is when they're talking. There's like
There's real tension
There's
there.
real tension there.
Yeah.
And I like
Yeah,
how
yeah.
they kind of hint of like who he is and
Yes.
like how his impact at the beginning of the movie. But the battle scenes definitely hit me most, and especially the slave one versus the
The
Jedi
sound,
Starfighter.
Yeah.
The sound effects were
the
like
thing that Ben Burt does with that sound with
Yeah.
the bomb is fantastic. Where there's no sound,
Yeah.
and then you get the big
I remember
Yeah.
It's
having
almost like a guitar chord.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
it was
Yeah.
excellent sound effects. I remember being blown away.
Literally.
There's like I would have friends over, and my dad was super into like having an awesome setup in your like home theater setup. And we had some great speakers, so I would
Lucky.
I would like go in the cabinet and turn up the bass just like all the way to max, and then I'd press play on that scene, just like impress all my friends, and it was great when those seismic charges go off. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
boom.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
a real. Ben Burt does the opposite, where he puts no sound, where it's actually space, where space doesn't have sound.
Yeah.
And then that seismic charge comes off, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And visually too, when you see the ripple effect with the asteroids.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, George is using that visual of Empire when Han's in asteroids. So there are some.
Talking about the ring theory.
Well, we might talk about the ring theory. I don't know. There's some theories out there.
So stepping away from the movies, we all haven't mentioned the video games, and I think that's what's kept me in the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
Still
Yeah,
today.
absolutely.
I'll go back and even play some of like the earlier Star Wars games, and it's just a nostalgic hit for me.
Yeah.
And beyond the movies and having those play on constant, I was always at my computer playing those Star Wars games.
Okay.
And, let's see, like Galactic Battlegrounds.
Oh,
or something
yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
you know. So those are some great memories there.
Yeah.
My Star Wars video game crack was Shadows of the Empire for the N64.
Oh.
That train.
Yes.
Dash Rendar.
That's what got me like loving train levels in games.
Yeah.
I hated
Because
that level.
Yeah.
You hated it?
Yeah, it was
I
awful.
love it.
No,
Yeah.
why?
Uncharted did a train.
Do you like being
everyone did a
tortured?
train.
No,
It's a
I
train
don't.
level.
I love the sense of movement. I love the urgency that you have in making those impossible jumps, which I will add were not helped by the Genki controls
of the 64.
of the 64.
controller.
Yes, but I don't know. In various video games, like I've just had a thing for train levels, and I think it came from that. But the music was awesome because they actually took like snippets of an orchestral soundtrack.
The
and
music
just had
on the
loop.
train is the music in Return of the Jedi, and it's fantastic.
Isn't it also when they're in the snowspeeders, like looking for Luke and Han?
Yes. Yeah.
There is a snippet of that in there. Yeah.
I believe so. But yeah, and then I found out later that the game was based off a novel, and so I got to reading that, and I thought, wow, this actually makes a lot more sense than the game does. But they're cramming quite a lot in there.
Did any of you guys ever play Jedi Outcast or Jedi Outcast 2? Jedi Academy?
I did.
Yes, all those.
I
That was
did.
my first online multiplayer game where I was just like playing a Jedi and I'd like double kick off people and then throw a lightsaber at them.
Oh yeah, is
Or
that
force grip the stormtroopers and just launch them off the platform.
yeah? Is that the one
So
where you could
satisfying.
draw graffiti on the walls with like the lightsabers?
Blade? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can also, there's a cheat where you can type in like no clip or something
Yeah,
like that.
Oh, and you fly
Go-
around.
Yeah, go through the walls. Or what
Those
was
were the
it?
days.
You can start like dismembering all the stormtroopers.
Yes,
I don't know what code it was, but that game changer right there.
Yeah, I played that a few years ago.
Dyson Stormtroopers.
Yeah, to me that was just so exciting.
Yeah.
I remember also playing Pod Racer for the N64.
Oh, yeah.
I've never played that.
You mean Anakin Racer?
Sure. Anakin Racer for the N64.
Did you use the same face when you played the pod racing that Anakin has stuck on the whole scene?
It's working! Yes. Yes, I did. Man, what else did I play? I think there was... Rogue Squadron. That was also a 64
Yeah.
time.
I only
Yeah.
had the demo for that game, but I
What?
played the crap out of that first level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause this
Over
is-
and over
it's
on
Battle
PC.
of Hoth.
I'm
Yeah.
like, can I get this? Nah, just play the demo. We already have it.
Yeah.
That was the first game that used the 4 megabyte edition for the N64.
Oh, yeah, the
because
expansion pack.
if you didn't have it, it looked really clunky.
Yeah.
Really clunky.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot for N64 because it was already chunky. But you put that in and you got a better graphics on all the ships, and there's a lot of fun stuff there. So.
Yeah. I think what I played even more than like Rogue Squadron or Shadows of the Empire was the Battlefront games for the PS2.
Oh yeah.
You know, Star Wars Battlefront, the first one, and Star Wars Battlefront 2.
The second one.
Yes.
Second one.
And Battlefront 1, the original.
The OG.
Yeah.
You mean Star Wars Battlefront EA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm sad to say I haven't played yet. I'll probably pick it up for Christmas because like the entire package is like $40 now.
For those that can't see this podcast, Todd just recoiled in disgust that you never
Disgust
played
and horror.
Battlefront,
Why?
the new one.
Why are we even here?
Because now I can get everything and all the DLC for like $40 now.
There you go.
That makes
Oh,
sense.
really?
Yes.
All right, so let's bring this back around. And Todd, how did Star Wars like impact you as a youngling?
Yes.
Here we go.
As a young
Yes.
Padawan. So here's the deal. Obviously, I'm the eldest, so I have a bigger timeline to kind of fit everything in. So I'm more second generation, and you guys are like third generation, I guess would be.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good way to sum it up.
Yeah.
Because basically, I was born in '75, so
Wow. You're
dated.
old.
A living
I'm
fossil.
so- yeah. I'm a living fossil. Yeah. But basically, for me, it's all about Empire. So I remember going to the theater and seeing Empire, and the secret sauce for me is the Wampa Cave. And everything about Star Wars is in that for me because I just love that scene because, you know, in a hero's journey, like we were talking about with Campbell, is that you always have to fight a monster. And that Wampa is that monster that really accelerates his journey into being a real hero. Yeah, he blew up the Death Star, but I don't think he knew the impact and the weight of that after until he's like kind of by himself now. And he's all alone, and it's just him and his Wampa. You know, the Wampa's there eating his tauntaun, and he's like, I'm next, you know. But the secret sauce for that whole thing is, for me, is him grabbing his lightsaber. Because
And overcoming that
because
challenge.
it's implied. You like when you see that visually, it's like use the Force, but you don't see Obi-Wan at all use in A New Hope. You don't see him using the Force in that way, moving objects.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He does like a sound distraction. He does the Jedi mind trick.
Yep.
He does the Karat Dragon at the beginning to scare the Tusken Raiders away.
Yeah.
And then that he speaks basically kind of spiritually through Luke at the end of A New Hope. But you never see him move objects. But as a kid, when you're seeing that and you're like, before he's in panic mode, he looks at his feet, they're frozen, you're like, he's in a jam, he's in a pickle. And then you're just instinctively, when you see the Jedi, the lightsaber is just out of reach, and you're like, he's got to use the Force, just use the Force. And that for me is just like, that's it. Like when he grabs it, he takes a moment to concentrate and he grabs it, that's it. I was like, that's the secret sauce right there. So for me, that I remember going to see Empire. And, like Aaron said earlier, like, just the Hoth scene, the battle scene, the AT-ATs is just, like, for me, the best vehicle in Star Wars is the AT-AT. And I just love that. And we would play...
impact you in a way that, like, you've never seen before in the film.
Right.
Like, you've seen tanks and...
and it's a walking tank. So it's like a walking tank plus dinosaur for me. It's like, it's just so huge.
Good way,
And I'm just like... That's it. That's that's that. And
that's the Empire.
The true power of the Empire.
Well, and they do a good job. Like they do a good job as far as cinematography when you see the impact of the walkers, on Echo Base, and they're like, this thing's, these things are shaking the ground. You're like, there's a lot of weight to that, you know. And so for me, it's all about Empire, and it's just. It was very impactful for me, and that just set me off on Star Wars. So, but as a kid,
so you would say you didn't feel the true fanboy to come out till Empire?
Well, I mean, I was 5, so I was 5 when I saw Empire, and basically after that, I mean, anytime there was snow on the ground, we're doing Hoth scene. And the sled, we're going down the sled. I'm the snow speeder. We're trying to get away from AT-ATs. I mean, that was. Every winter was like Hoth, and we would build our Echo Base and all that kind of stuff. So
awesome.
that we relived that, because again, we didn't have like DVDs and VHS. Like every time you go to the video store, it'd be like, oh, it's out,
Yeah.
But So, but for
that's
me,
funny. Even as a kid, when I was in elementary school, like whenever it was like snowing out and they plowed up all the snow on the blacktop to have like these huge snow berms, like that was our Echo Base too. Like
we had a cul-de-sac right next to my house, and our little cul-de-sac, they would all build up there, and we'd tunnel that out, and that was our Echo Base. So
it's awesome.
That was it. So, but the last thing was like as a kid, we had the Battle of Endor. It was like this
with teddy bears.
Yeah, with teddy bears. So Return of the Jedi, I remember that. Loving Jabba. Jabba scenes are like the best, because he's our little mobster guy. But I remember on TV there was a Battle of Endor, and that was like, I think that's Drew Barrymore, like when she's like.
Oh, the Caravan of Hope or something?
Yeah, it's like something, I don't know what it's called. I don't know.
That was a precursor to the prequels.
Yeah, right. It's got the guy that did the oatmeal commercials. I forgot his name. He died. But anyways.
The oatmeal commercials?
Yeah, you're too young. You don't even know who this guy is.
Oh, he did oatmeal? You could do a Star Wars.
You could do a Star Wars.
Just smile and nod.
Yeah, smile and nod. So I remember that as a kid, and then it just kind of... For me, it kind of blanked out a little bit. I obviously had the other big impact for me was the action figures, because I would do all these different battles in my sandbox, and then every summer my parents would get us new sand, and then we start digging around and like, oh, there's Greedo, hey Greedo, and because I would build like all these like sandcastles, and
I missed you.
Yeah, I missed you. And so all my guys obviously have like sand, and like I would also, the other big thing that I would do as a kid was I would freeze them in a cup of water, like carbonite.
Me
Oh
too.
my word.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you still have those figures, like
I
in
do.
the cabinet at home?
Yes, I
Are
do
they
have
still
them.
kind of like worn a little bit? you
They're
know?
totally worn.
Loved,
like
rather.
they are loved.
Loved.
Yeah, I have my Darth Vader little case that has all my action figures still
That's
in it.
awesome.
Like, I just want to quickly sum up the character of Todd right now. Like he has a whole sleeve, the entire Empire basically, all the Stormtrooper helmets,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and his basement, he has all of these cabinets, all these like, how would you describe it? Like, just glass, like
Yeah, they're
cases
glass
full
cabinets
all
of
the-
Star Wars.
It's like a
anything.
museum down
It
there.
is kind of.
He is the true fanboy out of all three of us.
There's 4 of us.
Well, compared to
Comparatively. Yeah,
I guess I'm
exactly.
nothing.
Yeah. So that's kind of the childhood, and then I would say there's like a dark time where I don't kind of remember Star Wars, and then
the dark time.
Yeah, the dark time.
The Empire.
But then,
and then that led to
well, that led to books. So Timothy Zahn had Heir to Empire, and so this guy's reading it in the cafeteria. I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, "It's a Star Wars book." I'm like, "There's a Star Wars book, you know?" And
Books?
Oh boy, you don't even know.
they write Star Wars books, and so Timothy Zahn does this. It's basically after Return of the Jedi, and he starts a trilogy there. And the first one's Heir to the Empire, and it blew me away. Like, I hated reading, and because for me, you know, it's very, especially in science fiction, it's kind of hard to tell what the author's trying to do with the ships, and you know, when they're explaining things.
Yeah.
But
Like visualizing it, you mean?
Yeah, visualizing it in your head. But since I already know the characters and I know the ships, I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And anything new, it helps. You know, like you have a reference. You know, like. And so for me, that was huge. And so that was, I think, 91. So
When I was born.
so I'm reading Star Wars book when you're born.
Oh,
so
boy.
basically, but then for the video game, like when we were talking about video games, Dark Forces,
That was a great
and X-Wing, a flight simulator,
Yeah.
came out like in 95.
And TIE Fighter.
And TIE Fighter, and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and X-Wing Alliance, and there was many,
Lots of X-Wings.
Lots of X-Wings, but for me, Dark Forces, because Doom was huge. You're like,
Oh, yeah.
for I bought a computer for Doom, and I bought like 8 megs of RAM for like $200 back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, there was a huge
Explain that story for us.
yeah. Well, basically, there was a huge Chinese fire, and it blew up all the RAM, and it was very.
Oh yes, I
overpriced.
did hear about that.
Yeah. So, anyways, so those video games really resonated with me, especially Dark Forces, because it's like Doom, but just set in the Star Wars universe. And actually, the first level is when you steal the Death Star plans. So there's that.
Oh, I got retconned.
Rogue One.
Yeah, there was Rogue One before Rogue One. So, but then Power of the Force 2 came out, and that's the action figures. And so they were based off the Marvel stuff, and like Luke's got like huge pecs. He kind of looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I had those.
And Darth Vader has like these
He's puffed
guns.
out.
Yeah, he's got these guns, And that for me, I was in college then. So
Oh, jeez. I was a kid.
Yeah, you were like 4.
And Shadows of the Empire came out.
Right,
yeah.
And basically for me, that was reliving my childhood, because now that I had a little pizza money, I would basically kind of throw that in the Star Wars arena and just grab some action figures. And so that's kind of where all that kind of came from me being a child. And now I'm like, oh, now I can buy all these action figures. And
Why not?
why not?
Yeah,
Now
why
they have
not?
money, So basically, after that, special editions came out. That was 97. And
Oh,
so
yeah, I remember that.
My grandparents had that actually on VHS as well.
Right, yeah. So that was kind of big, because it got all us that grew up doing Star Wars going back into the theater and seeing it again.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
it was like it kind of sparked that interest again. And I was already hooked, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm already buying action figures. I'm going back and see special editions, and we'll probably save the special editions for a different time.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be an interesting
Yeah, that's a
episode.
whole
It's a different planet right
different
now.
thing. Yeah. So met my wife Jen in 2000, and the first weekend we hung out, And she comes over, and I'm like shellacking and sanding my cabinet. And she's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Oh, I bought my first piece of furniture." And she's like, "Oh, what is it?" I'm like, "Oh, that's my cabinet for my Star Wars action figures." And so she kind of knew. She kind of knew right then, like,
Nerd.
Oh, so you're that kind of
yeah,
person?
Wasn't it a blind date?
Yeah, we met on a blind date. So
Whoa.
yeah, so there's that. So when
So
she's
she's
like, "Oh yeah, you're pretty cool," and then she came over, she's like, "Oh,
I may
this
need
is-
to rethink
yeah,
this.
Yeah, I might need to rethink that." So, but when we met then, so Phantom Menace just came out, and so I waited in line 6 hours to go see Phantom Menace, and I'm
Oh,
the same
geez.
thing with Armand, who was 8. I'm 24 at that time, and I'm just like, that's C-SPAN in space, dude. That was just
Delegates of the Senate.
yeah. There was like you said earlier, Armand, there's just something off on it.
Yeah.
And for me, it is definitely Jar Jar. Right when he talks, I'm like, oh, it's going to be this. And
Yeah.
the saturation, like for me, it's the saturation of Jar Jar, because if you watch Phantom Menace, he's pretty much in almost every shot, and it's just too much for me.
He's
like
the key to all of this.
yeah. He took down the Republic. So thanks, Jar Jar. But basically, for me, it is that oversaturation. Like I like him as a character for the kids, because I understand that, because that's like you guys, like growing up. But
You
it
just simply struck out.
you just struck out. Like
Nice
you look
try,
at
but you failed.
right. You look at like again what came out in that same year was Lord of the Rings. All right.
Wait,
so
what year?
99. Well, technically
That's
98.
when it. Oh,
yeah. So
that
Yes.
is an old movie now.
right.
No, Lord of the Rings came out
Yeah.
early 2000s.
Is it 2000s?
I think it was like
Maybe
2001.
we'll Google it. I don't know.
No, I actually,
Pretty sure
it's 2002.
Okay, so my
Moving
thing,
swiftly on.
Yeah. My thing is you look at Gollum and you look at Jar Jar, and just the difference of that is like how they used that character is so like Lord of the Rings is just
It's an entirely different world.
It's a
Yeah.
totally different world, but how they use the CGI character in that space is so much better than what.
So much more effective.
Yeah, it's so much more effective. And I understand, like, there is miniatures and all that stuff in Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, but it's too fake. It's just too much there. So, yeah. So, I mean, there's that. And then, basically, though, the cool thing with Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, I was able to go to Celebration 2 and 3,
Whoa.
which were in Indianapolis.
Whoa.
So
Really?
that was my first, like, more than just me and my friends kind of type thing, and kind of seeing it on a bigger scale. And I was just like, oh, this is like, it was all Star Wars, and that was really cool. And then that was my first introduction to the 501st, and so they're lining up to take the group shot, and there's like 200 stormtroopers and a bunch of other guys, and I'm just like.
There's Todd trying to photobomb them.
Like, could I just get in the picture, man? So yeah, that for me was like really cool, kind of seeing that, and then just kind of speeding up, like out of the like 05, like Revenge of the Sith, that is probably the best one out of the three. But
Because you get to
there's
watch
still-
Anakin burn alive.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
I have the higher ground.
Mythbusters proved that wrong. So
Really?
it doesn't matter if you have a 30-degree angle. I mean, it's just there's some things
The
like
high ground thing or the burning alive thing?
not the burning alive thing. They proved it wrong for the angle of the Obi-Wan having the higher
Well,
ground.
what about
Yeah.
Obi-Wan not having the higher ground and then killing Darth Maul?
Yeah, there's that. They didn't choose it.
He's just that good.
Yeah, he's just that good. Yeah, and like, and Darth Maul's face is just like, you caught me off guard there, buddy.
Yep.
Whoops.
You got me.
You got me. You got me good.
You must have had Red Bull.
Yeah.
It gave him wings.
Oh my god.
Had wings.
Wings.
Please.
But they did. Mythbusters also did the Tauntaun thing, and that's for real. That can work. So
you
there's that.
can survive.
You can survive in a dead animal, just in case you want
in
to.
the winter tundra in a tent.
So
Todd, maybe can you talk about how you're passing on Star Wars to your son?
Oh yeah. So there's my buddy, my good buddy and son Trent, and that's a real I think that's what's exciting.
How old is he?
He is 4. When he saw Force Awakens, and there's the pan out of Rey's home, which is a crashed AT-AT. He screamed in the theater, "Daddy, that's an AT-AT!" So that was a very cool dad moment, and like everyone laughed at the theater when he saw it like the third day it was open, you know. And so awesome. I know, it's so cute. But he is my clone, and I really have a fun time like sharing Star Wars with him. You know, it's a fun. I mean, he was probably watching Star Wars when he was like 3 months old, you know. So I'm like, hey, we're gonna watch Empire if you don't mind, you know. So it's just really cool sharing that with him. And now that we're in a very blessed state, if you will, where we don't have to wait, like, you know, for me, I have to wait 3 years to find out what happened at the end of Empire to Return. And even with the prequels, you know, those are 3 years apart. So now you have, you know, this kind of cool thing where we're in the first time where we're having a movie in December a year apart from each other. And that's pretty amazing in some respects. I'm sure Armand has this comment on that, but
I'm being quiet right now.
right, you're letting me have the floor. I really appreciate that. But basically, it's really a cool point being a Star Wars fan and sharing that, and really that Force Awakens. It's so apropos because it's like it is awakening, you know, like another generation. So we're on right now, like really the 4th generation of Star Wars fans.
That's
you know,
crazy.
because you
That's
have
right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you have like, you know, now kids are growing up on Clone Wars and Rebels, and now we're seeing but they're growing up on that. That's their Star Wars, and now they see Force Awakens. And I think it's really cool too is you have, like Aaron said earlier, is that, you know, for us, Luke Skywalker, for a guy, you know, you're like, oh, I want to be that hero. And now with The Force Awakens, you have Rey being that hero for girls. And I think that's super cool, you know, and that I think it's also, you know, now that we have Rogue One with Jyn, it's like, oh, you know, like they're a different person, you know, but it's still a British actress, you know. It's like, oh, now, but there's another girl. And I think that's really good to kind of bring in that audience too. So,
speaking of Rogue One, how about we go into our predictions for the premiere, which is
5 days away.
5 days from now, at the time of this recording.
Yeah.
So, Rutch, do you want to begin? And we'll go around the circle.
Yeah. So let's elaborate on what do you mean by predictions?
Well, we've all sort of seen the trailers and the all the hype pieces, if you will, whatever information we have. And now that we're this close, like, how do you think the movie will go? What do you think maybe the reaction or the reception to it will be? Maybe things that you're looking forward to or that you hope happen in the movie?
Well, it is definitely way overhyped for me. I think it could be the best Star Wars film.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah, like
heresy.
I almost really want it to be, just because it's all updated with brand new effects, and we're gonna see what we loved from the Empire, what we saw from Episode 4 and Episode 5. And just from what I've seen with the trailers, I think it's hitting home in a unique way that The Force Awakens didn't. And I think a lot from a technical standpoint, the color, the way it's being filmed, just feels so
yeah.
right.
What do you say on that first trailer when you see Kenrick?
Yeah, like
that lighting.
When Orson's like, on what planet is that? Do you think?
I don't know what planet that
is. He's basically
is.
about to take away.
He's taking away
Jin's father.
Right?
And Jin is a young girl,
Mm-hmm.
and just the look on that planet just like feels awesome. So good. And I just like what Gareth Edwards has done with the film just from that point on. it just feels right. So
Yeah.
I'm hyped for it. I didn't have these feelings for the Force Awakens, and I think it has the potential to compete with Episode 5.
Wow. Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of with Rutch. I really feel like this one could be the one that is as close to Empire for me, and with the new fan base. I think it's going to be that powerful. The reason I feel that way is because I think everyone dies in this film. I don't think anybody.
Absolutely.
I don't think anybody gets out of this film except Darth Vader and Tarkin. And so what that does is it sets so much weight on what R2 is real. R2 and that whole. It seems kind of nonchalant in A New Hope, like getting the plans to the rebels, but the idea if these people died for something, it adds so much weight to that than A New Hope, and I think that will really drive that picture even more. But yeah, I agree with Rutch. I really like what Gareth Edwards did on Godzilla, and the sense of scale, and how he hid Godzilla in a certain way to the end, and then it's just like a huge monster fight. But the scale is what drives it. And then for me, those trailers, the big thing, obviously, like I said earlier, I love AT-AT. So now you have an AT-ACT, and they're on the beach, and she has the plans, and you see that scale. It's amazing because it reminds me of when I play Battlefront. Because you see, they're pretty big. And
like the latest Battlefront.
The latest Battlefront, that Aaron hasn't played yet. And I was like, what?
You can't make me.
Yeah. You're holding on. It's like
$40? Okay.
Alrighty.
It's a year-old game. Come on, Aaron. So it's like dinosaur age in gamer world. So I just like the sense of scale. And that shot and the other shot that really just like gave me the chills is the radar dish and being installed, and that shadow of that with the Star Destroyer. For me, I was like, that hit it home.
When the first trailer dropped, I was like, wait, what is that? That's definitely the Death Star.
Right.
But wait, what?
Because
way.
Yeah, because again,
blew me away.
Yeah, because again, for the first generation fan, it's the Star Destroyer after the Rebel frigate, and Tantive 4, basically that little shot, the scale is just immense because you see a spaceship and then you see the Star Destroyer and it just keeps on going and going and going. And you're like,
that sense of scale, that sense of home again.
And so Gareth, I think he's my age. I think he's 41. So he's the same kind of grew up with it, and his main influences are Spielberg and Lucas. And so for him to make the film and have that kind of that fanboy in him is pivotal in making this film what it could be.
And
so
to me, Gareth seems more of like the true fanboy as opposed to maybe JJ.
I was ecstatic though they got JJ for Force Awakens.
Yeah.
He's a good director.
Yeah.
Because he did Star Trek.
Star Trek.
He did it right.
He did.
Like he should have done.
Yeah, I mean the only thing obviously with the Force Awakens is that it's a New Hope 2.0. So there's that.
Yeah, my opinion on that is that it could have gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Right.
And the fact that it didn't, and it was perhaps not as innovative as
they played it safe.
They played it safe, but that was really the only way they could get out of anything alive.
I'll be okay if Episode 8 really takes it in its own unique direction. Like,
yes,
the
please.
fan base is all here. We're willing to support the Star Wars universe still. So let's be innovative, like you said, and take 8 into a new direction and not like copycat anything else.
Right.
And I think that's what I like about Rogue One. It's its own thing. It doesn't have to conform to anything. It's not an episode.
I really hope that Disney has the bravery to just kill everybody. I don't know if they'll go in Rogue One.
They should.
I don't know if they'll go that route.
I think
I really hope they do.
Yeah, I think it does. I really think. I have a very strong feeling in this. I feel like it's going to happen, and it helps because it's a standalone film. You have no legacy, so you don't have to worry about I got to keep this guy for later, or this person or whatever. It's just Boom, here it is.
Do you think it will do better than The Force Awakens?
No.
Can you elaborate?
Well, one major thing is that Rogue One has not been marketed as heavily as Episode 7.
There's also not a gap.
There's
So
not a huge hype anymore.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. We don't have a gap. So, Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005, and then Force Awakens came out last year in
2015.
So you have a 10-year gap. Right now, that's what I'm saying. We're in a golden age where it's like, oh, it's another year, and we have another Star Wars film to go see.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the reason, because Disney was very careful as far as not, because we got a trailer, we got the 88-second trailer for Force Awakens 13 months before it actually released. And this one, we get a trailer, only 6 months out. And so there's, because they wanted the DVD to come out, everything to come out, boom, here's Force Awakens, that's done. Now let's introduce it to Rogue One. And I think the other reason why it's not going to be commercially more successful is because there's no legacy characters. And so it's a generational thing too, where
so like
hey,
no Han, no
so
Leia.
like the casual fan will be like, oh, I know Han and Leia, I'm gonna go see this. And the movie is a torching, it's passing a torch between that old generation and the new generation. I mean, it's built into the plot, but also from an audience perspective, they want to go see, hey, what's up with these guys now, that kind of
right. Yeah, I'm still blown away by how many people really don't know where Rogue One stands in the timeline. And I'm, this is from like superfan perspective. And sorry about that. And it's hard for me to relate there. Does anyone have any like insight onto maybe what they're feeling? It's so confused on just where this stands.
Tell them it's episode 3.5. That's all I have to tell them.
Yeah.
I say it takes place a few weeks before A New Hope.
So where this movie ends will directly lead into episode 4.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah, because basically, when they get on the counselor ship, Darth Vader says there's plans that are beamed to the ship. So that's what we're going to see. That's the end of the movie. They're going to get the plans physically and get them to, Princess Leia on that.
So our theory is that everyone's going to be killed off at the end.
Yeah.
We're considering like the heroes of the story, the rebels.
Mm-hmm.
But what about Orson Krennic's character, since he isn't seen in 4, 5, or 6?
He gone.
He's going to get force choked.
How do you think he's going to be chopped?
He's going to get force choked.
He's either going to get force choked or like sent for re-education or reassigned somewhere else, and probably never seen again.
No. He's gone because I read Rogue One Catalyst, and so
spoilers.
I know spoilers.
Oh man!
But I mean, all it
Don't
sets up.
spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it. All I'm going to say is that Krennic this is his project. All right.
Okay.
This is baby.
His project, as in, can you summarize that real quick?
It's
the Death Star
without
the
spoilers.
Death Star.
The Death Star, as opposed to like the Death Troopers.
The Death Sphere.
The Death Sphere. They sell it as
spherical.
an energy. All right, so basically they sell it as an energy project. So all these scientists are working, and they don't know what it is.
Like the Manhattan Project.
Yes, exactly. You're absolutely right, and that's so basically that's how it's sold. And I'm not going to say any more because I don't want to spoil anything for people that are reading that.
Thanks, God. So considerate.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to borrow that book.
Spoilers. It's Krennic's project. Okay. So, but.
He's a very jealous character.
He's not. Yeah, he's trying to rise to power and get into the Emperor's favor, which is totally how the Empire works. That's you gotta knock off the other guy. But you have 2 other alpha males in there, which is Tarkin and Vader.
Oh, I forgot about Tarkin.
So Tarkin will be in this film. We know that. We just don't know how he's going to be used.
It's going to be so awesome.
Yeah, the actor's kind of dead.
Yeah, he's
been dead.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're going to do like a...
So can you real quick summarize where Tarkin might stand in comparison to Orson Krennic? In the line of command, maybe?
Well, in the line of command, because he's like this is like a special project. So he's kind of like a director of the Death Star. And Tarkin is a governor still in that
He's a Grand Moff.
Well, not at that time.
Really?
Not at that time because again he gets a Grand Moff title after the Republic folds.
Oh.
So that you got to understand too that the Death Star project is 18 years in the making.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
Return of the Jedi, they're like, we're gonna we're gonna turn this out in like a year. But when you're in this time space from when you see the plans and Geonosis and Attack of the Clones to the time you see in A New Hope, it's like 18 years.
Wow.
So what we're seeing in Rogue One is that they're ready, they're almost ready, but it's taken 18 years to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really all the science and all the things behind it, and that's where Jin's dad comes into it. But Krennic, this is his project. So I think that's why I say he is not going to be in the next, obviously in New Hope, because we don't see him. He's going to be gone. And Tarkin, because when we see in New Hope, Tarkin, that's his baby. But we know it's Krennic's baby. So there's definitely power shift.
So, do you think it's a rebel that would kill him, or do you think someone like Tarkin or Darth Vader?
It's Vader. It's going to be Vader, and
Vader.
I agree with Amand. It's a force choke. I think Vader.
Are you
is gonna
spoiling it?
No.
Okay.
I've never
This
seen
is
the film.
speculation.
Yeah, these are all speculations.
Because that's how
You're planting ideas in my head.
that's how empires work.
Well, you
take
go
out the
back.
offices.
You go back to New Hope. What makes Darth Vader amazing is not only what they use from a color perspective, where you have the white ship and a black figure and a white stormtroopers with the black, and he's,
Color theory.
Color theory. Yeah, no ring theory.
Don't talk to me about color.
Right. Yeah. So, but when he force chokes Captain Antilles on the ship, and you see the feet dangling, like, this dude's pretty bad dude. So when you see, I think that's what you're going to see, the dominance or the actual power of Darth Vader when he's sent to kind of clean up this mess and get this show on the road.
Yeah.
And I think Krennic is just one last piece in getting that going.
I really hope there's like a Shakespearean ending where Darth Vader is sent for cleanup duty and he just kills everyone.
Nah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because again, the power, and we'll talk this through, I'm sure, a lot more times, is just the Empire, and that once Anakin is damaged, the Emperor does not want him. So he's always fighting that rule of two, because the Emperor is trying to replace Darth Vader, and I think he's also trying to, in the Empire, you're always staking your claim, and I think Krennic is just a pawn. Darth Vader gets him out of the way, and that's where you see the Tarkin and Darth Vader connection strong in A New Hope.
Now, I'm a little bit cautious about Rogue One, and I'm not quite over the whole, we got to reshoot and do rewrites of everything that happened this summer. I really don't know. I'm not entirely convinced why it was done, and that leads me to be cautious, but I'm cautious about pretty much every movie I go see, just because of my cold, black, cynical heart. But hopefully this movie can get it beating anew. But however, regardless of that, I have only seen the teaser trailers. I refuse to see full trailers, especially
awesome.
This close, because I'm just
He's a
that
hero.
cautious. I'm just that cautious about spoilers, and I know how spoiler heavy trailers can be, so I've just abstained. I will say I am a huge fan of that new droid.
Yes, K2
SO.
K2SO, yes.
So
I hope he's just super sarcastic, hates humans.
I think the
Anti-C3PO.
voice actor cast for that is just spot on. He's kind of like a C-3PO, but new age.
He reminds me of the guy from the Old Republic.
Oh, HK-47?
Yeah, the meat
I hope he's like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Forgot about him.
But
Yeah, continue.
yeah, that's probably the character I'm most excited for.
Yeah,
that
he's
I'm
gonna die too,
most
but
want to
that's
see.
okay.
Yeah, I know, but whatever. They
He
can make
could
a new
live.
one.
He's gonna end up
He's gonna have his own
trash
spin-off.
compactor
Yeah.
on Beskar.
Oh.
Yeah, he'll be in a trash heap somewhere, but that's okay. They'll make another one. That's a good thing about droids.
Yeah, they can get reprogrammed or memory wipes like C-3PO.
What about you, Armand?
My predictions?
Yes.
Well, I agree with Todd. I definitely think they're going to be martyrs. Have you guys played Halo Reach at all?
Yes.
Multiplayer.
So
I've
anyways,
heard the soundtrack.
So yeah, Reach is a prequel to the whole Halo trilogy, and in Reach, that fire team,
Yeah.
they all get killed off,
Yeah.
and they deliver Cortana to the Master Chief.
Correct.
So I think, hopefully,
It's the same kind of concept
Yeah.
where,
they have the precious cargo, and they're trying to give it to Princess Leia.
right.
So I hope to see Princess Leia at the very end.
Really? I could do without it.
Just imagine.
Like her daughter? I heard her daughter might have some castings.
Or CGI.
Well, she's in
CGI.
she's in Force Awakens. Her daughter.
Carrie Fisher's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like
Okay.
a person.
I kind of a person. Yes, a person.
It's
just
like
a
in the
person.
background.
As opposed to...
A droid
Or
or
an alien.
a Wookiee.
A Wookiee, yeah, right.
But, yeah.
It would be kind of nice to have a C-3PO R2-D2 sighting because they've been in every film, but also I kind of like them not being in it
I
because
could easily do without
yeah,
that.
because
Yeah.
it's like it's its own standalone story, and again, it goes with the title. It's a Rogue One, so it's off. It's just off a little bit, and I'm okay with that. And I mean, there's already talk about not having a crawl, so I think
Yeah, I heard that too.
yeah,
That's gonna
I
be
mean,
weird.
I'll be okay with it gone.
yeah, it's
That nostalgia part isn't gonna like make or break it for me. But
So do you think they're gonna show like
they're gonna
the
say
director and all the actors in the beginning,
No,
like a normal movie?
I think it's gonna say a long time ago, and boom, right into like a space something. Yeah.
Pan down to see a planet.
Right, yeah. Pan up, pan down, you know.
Oh, the pan down. I don't know if I can do without.
Sorry, which tilt up or tilt down?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
what's
know.
the
I can't
technical
believe it
term?
is.
Pan is left
It is
and right,
tilt
tilt is
down.
up and down.
Yeah, pan is left and right, and tilt is up and down. You know, I'll send you guys 4D that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Sorry for making that mistake.
All right. So, what's going to be the topic of our next episode?
I think what we're going to do is obviously, I think we're going to spend probably the whole episode on Rogue One.
Yeah.
So we're all four of us are going to go see it next Thursday
Opening
night.
day.
Yeah. So
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
So supposedly there's Snowmageddon coming, so it's gonna be really cold, but it's gonna be fun. I think it's the day before the release is always the best day of anything because you don't know what's gonna happen. In this, obviously, we kind of know the ending, but just the experience, and I think that's where obviously where we're connecting a lot is just hanging out, talking about Star Wars. I think it's so much fun, and it's the experience of that. I mean, I go back to why do you go see a band at a rock concert is because you want to feel it. You know,
Yes.
you can get the best audio quality off your MP3 player or whatever, vinyl or whatever you want to do, but you want to feel it, and you want to feel it with other people. That's what makes a rock concert amazing, you know. And that's where why you want to go see it with other people on opening night because they have the same kind of feeling. You want to be there
You're
as
creating this experience.
It's a collective. So I think that is going to be amazing. So so next time we meet, we will be talking about Rogue One and all the
loved about it. I
what we
guess.
loved about it.
Yeah.
And kind of compare. I think we should also kind of compare it to Force Awakens and kind of say same thing, like before, after those two films, because obviously they're a year apart. Like
I would like to say we can film podcast episode 2 next Saturday, but I might be seeing Star Wars. So
I would not blame you.
right. Yeah. Exactly. So I think we did pretty good for our first podcast, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's about time to wrap it up.
Well, let's do it. So again, this is WSTR Galactic Public Access and a Star Wars podcast.
Now this is podcasting.